Joining us now, Fox Nation host Tomi Lahren. Tomi, it's always great to have you on. It's good to see you. Okay, this news coming out of NBC. NBC today breaking the story that they did confirm that Hunter Biden's laptop emails are real, saying Hunter Biden and his company made around $11 million over a 5-year span from companies in China and Ukraine whose officials were accused of corruption while his father was vice president. Okay, Tomi, what's the fallout of this?
Well, listen, this is not breaking news, so this is too little too late, 2 years too late. But I think the bigger question is, why are these news and media outlets, why are they finally choosing to fess up and cover the story? Well, I'll tell you why I think it is, Liz. I think it's because they're ready to throw Joe Biden under the bus. They know he's not good for the Democrat Party. They're taking off their kid gloves, and it's unavoidable to discuss this anymore. But we're talking about millions and millions of dollars. That's millions more than most average Americans will make in their lifetime. And Hunter Biden, with no marketable skills, was making that with his last name and who knows what else. And that's the question that we still need to be asking.
And Tomi, you've been on the story. We've been reporting it too, how Senator Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson in September 2020 came out with their report on this. But what the NBC analysis is doing, they're showing a dollar figure. By the way, this is about national security. Okay, Hunter works at Burisma in Ukraine. An official there allegedly pays a bribe to a Ukrainian official to help stop a joint British-U.S. money laundering investigation into Burisma's top executive when Joe Biden was overseeing Ukraine for the Obama administration. Half of the $11 million that Hunter made over those 5 years, 2013, 2018, deals with 2 Chinese companies connected to China's military and intelligence. CEFC, that Chinese energy conglomerate chair, he's gone missing. He was accused of economic crimes. Another guy, Patrick Ho, he was in jail for bribery. I mean, Hunter was hired by Patrick Ho to represent him. So there's corruption here, Tomi. This is tip of the iceberg. This is national security stuff.
And you've got Hunter Biden, who admittedly is not the best person to be handling anything, often fesses up to his own poor judgment time and time again. But the question we also need to be asking, not only the Biden family, but also the media, is not only why now, but let's talk about the big guy. Let's talk about Joe. Let's talk about a special investigation into if he received any kickbacks, because if he did, that's criminal. But even the perception, Liz, of conflict of interest is already a national security threat. When you put the administration, you put the White House up for sale for God knows what in exchange, that's an issue every American needs to know about and should be concerned about.
And this is the other thing that's not been investigated enough. I need to talk to you about this. It's selling access into the Obama administration. Now we have Blue Star Strategies, right? That was a consulting firm for Hunter's Ukrainian firm, Burisma, the energy firm. He sat on the board there. Blue Star Strategies, suddenly out of the blue, decides to file as a foreign lobbyist. They hadn't done that before. But General Flynn gets nailed for foreign lobbying violations over one conversation. We don't know how much access Hunter sold into the Obama White House and administration.
And that is the national security risk here. We don't know what was for sale. We still don't know what is still up for sale. I think that that's not just a problem. We look back several years ago, what was for sale, but this is still a current problem because this investigation has not been closed. It's ongoing, but the American people are also sick of these ongoing investigations. It feels like we investigate everything to death. We never get to the bottom of it. But like I said before, NBC now finally putting a dollar figure on this. It's something that will be a passing headline, but this is because they no longer view Joe Biden as the leader of their party. They're okay with throwing him under the bus. The media needs to be asked why they covered up this story when they had evidence that there was wrongdoing way back in 2020 when it's not politically convenient. They didn't report on it then, not because they couldn't verify it or because they didn't think the facts aligned. They didn't report on it because it wasn't politically convenient for the candidate that they wanted in the White House. But now they're ready to throw him under the bus. So now we're talking about it a little bit more. But we need to know what was for sale, not only in the Obama White House, but also the current Biden White House. What was for sale, Joe?
Got it. Tomi, good to see you. Come back soon.